Hi, my name is Eduardo Flores, and this is Text and Criticism, your best source for sound textual criticism. So in this video, I'm going to introduce you to the work of Dr. Leslie McFall. He's a defender and advocate of the majority text. And I really like and respect his research. He could not publish it in articles, in journals, but his family did in the internet. He could not publish them. I mean all his research and articles about textual criticism because he passed away in 2015, and he finished. That was in November 2015, and he finished the articles in between April and May that same year. So he could not publish them. He passed away, but he left us a bunch of information. We have a lot of information. His data is clean. His work is well done. And what I like most about it is that you can repeat what he did. If you can repeat what he did and expect to find the same data, you can come to the same conclusions. So anything that you can repeat is what we call science. If you do a methodology and you get to certain results, and anyone else can do the same methodology, then they should get the same results. So that's what I like most about this methodology. It has nothing to do with recent eclecticism, has nothing to do with choosing the best, the shortest, the most difficult reading. It has nothing to do with that. So let's see what is the basic tenet of his work, and that's what I'm going to share you. I'm going to share you the basic tenet, two figures, two charts he shares with us in his basic article, and then I'm going to explain to you the meaning and why his conclusions are sound. Okay. This video is called "The Byzantine Text Precedes the Egyptian Text" by Dr. Leslie McFall. Let's see if this works. Yeah. So Leslie McFall, the significance of split text types for the recovery of the original text of the Greek New Testament. Unpublished 2015 article. So he shares with us a lot of information in this article, but we're going to share with you the analysis of 3,046 varying units in the Gospel of Matthew. If you remember, or if you count, Matthew has about 1,000 verses, 1,071 in the King James Version. And McFall analyzes 3,046 places of variation, which means an average of 2.8 or 3 variants per verse. This is important because this means that the results you get are really precise and exact, and are heavy. This is a heavy, a dense type of information. It's not like 3 verses or 8 verses, or like Hort took 8 conflations and spoke about that the Byzantine text was a conflated text, but he only used eight examples. This is 3,000 places of variation in the Gospel of Matthew. And he classifies the variants in Byzantine, Egyptian, or other. He uses the term Egyptian, meaning Alexandrian. His definition of the Egyptian text is the text found in Codex Vaticanus, in Codex Sinaiticus, in the union, in the agreement of these both codices, that is the Egyptian text. That is because these two codices are the most ancient documents that have the four Gospels, and that represent the Alexandrian text type. We have some papyri, but they have only parts of some of the Gospels. There's not one papyri that has all the four Gospels. So the main source for the Alexandrian text in the Gospels is Codex Vaticanus and Codex Sinaiticus. Now this is to show you a Greek text. This is an edition called the Greek text, the Greek New Testament according to Family 35. So here we have the title Evangelion κατά Mattheon, which is the Gospel according to Matthew. Biblos Genesios Jesu Christu, io David, io Abraham, which means a book of genealogy of Jesus Christ, son of David, son of Abraham. So in the Greek text editions, we have a critical apparatus that consists in footnotes. For example, we have a footnote A, footnote B, but we're going to share with you footnote H. So the word asa is a personal name, and this is the critical apparatus of Family 35. So I'm just putting these as an example, so you can have an idea of what we're talking about when we talk about the variant or the variant units. So here we have asa, and the word that in the same place some other manuscripts have as different is asa. So some manuscripts have asa, and some other manuscripts have asa. 98% of all the Greek New Testament manuscripts have asa, as well as the manuscripts of family pertaining to Family 35, the Codex Washingtonianus. And Asaph is in Codex Ephraemi Rescriptus, Codex Vaticanus, and Codex Sinaiticus. And it seems to be the variant that also appears in the Papyri 1. So we have this is what we call variation unit or variation set or set of variants. So in this place, there are two variants, Asa and Asaph. Dr. Leslie McFall displays his data in this data sheet. In this, we are going to take a look at this. Here we have Asa versus Asaph. And so what he does is that he uses the letter I in majuscule I to represent the Byzantine variant, which means the word that appears in the Byzantine manuscripts. So the Byzantine variant is I. And this apple is the Egyptian variant. And he uses just a hashtag for other variants. So here we have comparison. You see here is Asa, which is the family 35, which are Byzantine manuscripts, and the 98% of all manuscripts, which is basically means that this is the Byzantine reading. And we have Asaph. We have Asa and Asaph. And you can easily screen through here with your eyes, and you can see the apples and the letter I's. Each time there's an apple, for example, here we have an apple. So this is Codex Vaticanus. Here we have another apple. This is Codex Aleph or Sinaiticus. Here we have an I, which means that this manuscript doesn't have Asaph, which is the Egyptian variant. It has the Byzantine variant. And here we have the Washingtonianus has the Byzantine variant. So this is a really easy way to look for differences between the Byzantine text, the Byzantine variants, and the Alexandrian or Egyptian variants. So all this information can be summarized here. He has this group of Egyptian texts. So he analyzes 3046 variants in Matthew. In the Papyri 66, Papyri 75, Papyrus 66 and 75, Codex Vaticanus, Codex Sinaiticus, Codex Washingtonianus, Codex Ephraimi Rescriptus. And there are another set of minor codices. Here we have the Westcott and Hort and the Nestle-Aland United Bible Societies edition, critical editions. And you can see here how they follow the Egyptian variant. BR means the re-inking of the Vaticanus. So Codex Vaticanus, or Codex B, or 03, is the most ancient complete codex of the New Testament. It doesn't have some 2 or 3 books of the New Testament, but it's the most ancient. It's dated about in the beginning of the 4th century, so it's about 325 AD. Codex Sinaiticus is dated a little bit later or more recent. It's dated on always in the 4th century, but it's dated 350 AD. How do they do to establish a really small gap of 25 years between Codex Vaticanus and Sinaiticus? It's something I'm in doubt if it's real. it's difficult to date the manuscripts, especially if you don't do scientific investigations like 14 carbon dating and things like that. So, but either way, Codex Vaticanus, uh, the ink of the first scribe faded away really fast. So someone else later on re-inked all the letters, but did not ink some of the letters. So here we have the Codex Vaticanus as originally written, and BR is the re-inking of the Codex Vaticanus. Now we have the Caesarean texts. There are two arms of the Caesarean text type. One arm is called Family 13. The other one is called Family 1. Basically, the Caesarean texts exist only as such in the Gospels. So it's a really a short family. It doesn't have a representative in the Pauline epistles, in the Catholic epistles. There's no Caesarean text really defined in Revelation and in Acts. But in the Gospel, there is a Caesarean text, and it has two arms. It has Family 13 and Family 1. So Dr. Leslie McFall takes into account these 5 manuscripts to examine Family 13, and these 3 manuscripts, including Manuscript 1, to examine Family 1. And further on, there are some Byzantine texts. These are mixed Byzantine texts. And here we have the universal text. So he defines the universal text as KX, KR, and K1, such as was described by Van Soden. Van Soden used 550 manuscripts for KX, 221 for KR, which is the same as Family 35, and 64 for K1. And you can see here all of this in the whole chart. Here we have letters I, meaning all these have the Byzantine variant. And he also compares each variant in this printed editions, adding to the Westcott Horde and the Nesalanen. He compares also the completion polyglot, Erasmus of 1516, which is the first edition, Beza of 1598, which is almost similar as Erasmus. This is not Codex Beza. This is the Textus Receptus edition done by Beza in 1598. And he uses the he also compares the von Soden text and the apparatus of the von Soden text. So you can see that von Soden went with the Alexandrian text. And here is this description of the variants. We have variants. The verse, which is Matthew 1:7, and the variants start at the letter number 15. Okay, so in summary, he compares some 56 documents, including what I just told you about von Soden's Byzantine groups, the Alexandrian papyri and uncials, the several Greek New Testament editions, and other uncials. So this is the basic tenet. If you understand this, you understand the work of Leslie McFall. In page 1 of the article, split texts article, he says, it will be shown in this paper that when any text type splits, one party to the split will retain the reading of the majority text at the place where the other party diverges from it. So the purpose of this video is to explain to you what does Leslie McFall means when he puts this as his principal conclusion, his principal argument to say that the Byzantine text precedes the Egyptian text. He also says in page 2, it was discovered that when the Caesarean text split into family 1 and family 13, one or other family of manuscripts always agrees with the Byzantine reading at the point of disagreement, bar a handful of exceptions. He also says in page 2, when the Egyptian text splits into Vaticanus and Sinaiticus, it was discovered that one or the other of these manuscripts will always agree with the Byzantine reading at the point of their disagreement, bar the usual handful of exceptions. So he saw the evidence, the data, and he saw this phenomenon that when the Egyptian text splits into two, one of them retains the majority text variant. And this also happens with the Caesarean text. When the Caesarean text splits, one of it retains the majority text reading. And so I'm going to show you next figure 1 of his article called the figure 1 chart is called the evolution of the Caesarean text in Matthew, set alongside the Byzantine, Egyptian, and Western texts. So this is the whole chart. If you're looking at this in your cellular phone, it's difficult. You will get the detail, but I'm going to try to amplify the upper half and then the lower half of the picture. The chart starts with original text and then divides into two transmission lines: the Byzantine universal transmission line and the non-Byzantine transmission lines, which themselves separate into two. And here we have the original text universal separates into the Byzantine universal text and the non-Byzantine transmission lines. And this hypothetical exemplar then splits into two: the early Caesarean and the early Egyptian text. Then the early Caesarean text splits into family 13 and family 1. So here's the basic tenet. When family 1 goes private, family 13 retains the Byzantine variants. And when family 13 goes astray with their own variants, family 1 retains the variant that appears in the Byzantine manuscripts. And that's the phenomenon. He also sees this in the Egyptian text in figure 2. Here we have the same information, but plotted to see better what happens with the Egyptian text. We have the non-Byzantine lines represented by 176 variants in which the Egyptian and the Caesarean text agree against the Byzantine text variants. So this is the first split. The second split is gives us two exemplars. The exemplar of the United Egyptian text and the exemplar of the United Caesarean text. Then the United Egyptian text splits into two, into Codex Vaticanus and Codex Sinaiticus. And this is, again, the basic tenet. When it was discovered that when Codex Sinaiticus went private with private readings at the same spots, Codex Vaticanus retains the Byzantine variants. And when Codex Vaticanus goes astray, Codex Sinaiticus retains the variants contained in the Byzantine text. So this is, brothers and sisters, really important, because up to this point, we have seen a lot of argumentation in favor of the Byzantine or majority text, a lot of argumentation against the Byzantine and the majority text arguments and hypotheses. So up to this point, we have not had raw data as displayed by Leslie McFall. So that's why this is really, really important, because the Byzantine guys are going to love this, all this information. And the textual criticism guys who apply or are in favor of some kind of reasoned eclecticism, which you choose the variant, will have to respond this. Here we have then my explanation. Dr. Leslie McFall studies Matthew, studies 3,046 variant points in Matthew, which is about three variants per verse. And he found that in 176, the Caesarean manuscripts and the Egyptian manuscripts had the same variant. And that in this 176 variant sets or variants, the Byzantine had something different. Then he found out that in 182 instances, the Caesarean has something different than the Egyptian and then the Byzantine. So the United Caesarean text has 358 proper private variants that constitute the Caesarean text. The Caesarean text then splits into family 1 family 1 has 568 private variants that are not contained in family 13. And family 13 goes astray in 491 variants that are different than family 1. It so happens that when family 1 has or separates in this 568 variants, this same 568 places in this family 13 has the same as the Byzantine text, and the other way around. And the same happens for the Egyptian text. It starts with the 176 variants which are common to the Egyptian and the Caesarean manuscripts, and that are different than the Byzantine variants in the same spots. And the Egyptian is characterized by a further 643 variants, summing up to some 819 variants in which the Egyptian texts are different than the Byzantine. And later, the Egyptian text separates into 1,142 private variants for Aleph, and 468 variants for the Vaticanus. And this 1,100 variants, Codex Sinaiticus has something different than Codex Vaticanus. There are different variants, but Codex Vaticanus retains the Byzantine variants, meaning that in this 1,100 places, Codex Vaticanus has the same variant as contained in the Byzantine manuscripts. And the same happens with Vaticanus and Sinaiticus in the way of that when Codex Vaticanus separates from the Sinaiticus in these 468 places, in these same places, in these same 500 places, Codex Sinaiticus retains the Byzantine variant, the Byzantine reading. So what happens is that Codex Sinaiticus is modifying the early common text, which has Byzantine variants. And the same for the Vaticanus. So what is happening here? See, what is happening is that so what Dr. Leslie McFall found out is that when any text type, be it the Caesarean or the Egyptian, when any text type splits into two, see, for example, this is a split into family 1 and family 13. The Egyptian split into Vaticanus and Sinaiticus. Whenever a split occurs, one of the branches retains the Byzantine text, which means that the Byzantine text is the one that is being modified. And this has really strong information, data, and methodology behind it. And it has strong results and conclusions after it. He says in page 22, for this to occur, the text underlying the Caesarean and the Egyptian texts must be the universal Byzantine text. It is the purpose of this article to put forward the evidence for the view that it is the universal majority text that other text types have modified. In other words, the majority text is the base text. Also in page 22, Dr. Leslie McFalls says, the implication of this scenario would be that the majority text was contemporary with the exemplar behind Vaticanus and Sinaiticus. Here we have the private readings of the Sinaiticus, and here we have the private readings of the Vaticanus. So this is the exemplar that was behind these two creations, the Codex B and Codex Aleph. This exemplar has to be contemporary with the Byzantine text form. Why? Because when each one of these two that share this common exemplar, Egyptian common exemplar, when each one of these two modifies the text, the other one is a witness of the Byzantine text. Page 22 and 23, it also means that the present Egyptian text, as represented by the Nesolalan text, is a modified version of the universal Byzantine text. I mean, this is incredible, because you can say, for example, that the majority text is the best text because it has behind of it the majority of all the manuscripts, meaning has a great number of manuscripts. For example, there are some key differences between the majority text and the Alexandrian text, in which the majority text has the variant that's contained in 99.5% of all the manuscripts. 99.5%. And the Alexandrian variant is only contained in 0.5, meaning some 5 to 8 manuscripts, versus 1,400 or 1,500 manuscripts. So this is number, but someone can say number is not important, because early on someone could have done a modification, and then that modification could be copied more than the original. That's why we have more manuscripts. So, well, that's a possibility. It's not too probable, but it is a possibility. Also, with the Byzantine text, we have the age of the manuscripts. Some say, well, the Byzantine text is contained in recent manuscripts. It's not contained in manuscripts of the 4th century. It's contained manuscripts from the 5th century to the 8th, but it's really contained as a text type in manuscripts after the 10th century. So it is a late text type. See? Okay, so how can I prove that the Byzantine text existed alongside the Alexandrian? Or even how can I prove that the Byzantine or majority text existed before the Alexandrian text that appears in Vaticanus and Sinaiticus, that's in the 4th century? If almost all the papyri are witnesses to a type of Alexandria texts, but come only from one location, Egypt. There are no papyri of the 2nd or 3rd century that you will find that comes from Asia Minor, from Greece, from Italy, from France. There's not such a thing, and I think there won't be. So how can we say that the text that's in the 95% of all the manuscript is the original text if it is contained in late manuscripts? And here we have the arguments, and it's not that that's wishful thinking. No, it is not wishful. I cannot even say the word. Sorry. It's not wishful thinking, because here's the evidence. Here is the methodology of how Leslie McFall, where did he obtain the information, how he managed the information, how he presents the information in the sheet data, in the data sheet, and how he comes with the conclusions. And after reading the conclusions, he says, no. This means that, as he says in page 22 to 23, that the present Egyptian text is a modified version of the universal Byzantine text. And finally, he says in page 23, Vaticanus and Sinaiticus themselves become inadvertently witnesses to the existence of the majority text, in that when they disagree, one or the other will preserve their underlying inherited majority text. Consequently, the majority text is older than the date that scholars give or have given to these two Egyptian manuscripts. It will be shown in this paper, and this is a repetition of the basic tenet or discovery. It will be shown in this paper, says Leslie McFall, that when any text type splits, one party to the split will retain the reading of the majority text at the place where the other party diverges from it. And this is the end. Let's see if I can pause this. There you have it. There you have the data taken out from the manuscripts. There you have the information. You have the analysis of the information. And there's no way of getting out of the conclusion. The Byzantine majority text form, it is the one that was modified by both, by the Caesarean editors and by the Egyptian editors, making the Byzantine text before, in time, before the 4th century. And there are more videos like this. I'm going to make at least 3 or 4 more in which I talk more about Leslie McFalls' discoveries, more about his methodologies. So I hope you've had fun. If you want to know where to get the articles, in the information I showed you in the beginning of the video, there you can find it. And of course, I'm going to leave the link for Leslie McFalls articles in the description. So this is all we have for today. My name is Eduardo Flores. This is Text and Criticism, the best source for sound textual criticism. Actually, we don't do textual criticism. We are not in favor of reasoned eclecticism, and we are going to give the reasons why in later videos. So have a good time, and God bless you. And this is all for today. Bye-bye.